She started blowing up my phone with messages, and I ended up blocking her. The next day, she showed up to my job. She was crying a lot and telling me off for blocking her. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, gonna go over a story titled, "A gal is stalking me because she thinks I'm her baby's father. Should I file a restraining order against her or have another paternity test?" And guys, this story is all about a guy. He's 25 years old, and not too long ago, he got himself into a friends with benefit relationship with a 19-year-old gal. A gal he met at the club and had no problem hooking up with him left and right. And one day, guess what? She said she's late and is absolutely convinced that it's his baby. Problem is, as you're going to see, is that he says, okay, well, we will do a paternity test just to make sure. They take the test, and the test says, not his kid. So he says, okay, that's it. I'm no longer responsible, but she didn't take that very well. She's convinced that it's his kid and assures him that there was no other guy, even though she very easily had a friends with benefits relationship with him. So now he's dealing with all this drama and her showing up at his house, his work, all that. And is pretty much wondering, what the hell should I do? Blah, blah, blah. And that'll be a very good one to go over here, guys, just to make you aware of how you have to be so careful. That if you're going to get into a friends with benefit relationship or have multiple girls you're hooking up at once, you got to be careful. Protection always, you provide your own protection, you wear your own protection, dispose of protection, and never buy the crap that they're on the pill. And indeed, if they do get pregnant, you are adamant about the test. And even then, sometimes the test will say one thing because I've heard stories where a gal apparently have used their influence to, well, sabotage the results, if you will. And last but not least, what happens when the age-old saying, no good deed goes unpunished. And you're going to see this guy actually tries to help her a little bit, and it comes back to bite him in the ass. Definitely one to remember, guys, and how also, I forgot to mention this, how some gals will just decide, hey, you know what? I want him to raise the child, even though it's not his, because he's the best candidate that will likely help me with money, help me with resources, be there for me, blah, blah, blah. So it starts off, he says here, about a year ago, I started seeing this girl. We met in a club, we hook up, and then remain friends with benefits. We mostly hang out just to have sex, but also sometimes we hang out just because. We had sex regularly, like twice per week or something like that, unless she's on her period. Up until now, we got along great, and we never spoke about starting a serious relationship or anything like that. Okay, so let's make it clear. He met her at the club. She had no problem immediately getting into a friends with benefits relationship with him. I have to wonder, if she has no interest in relationship whatsoever, what else is going on? Because usually when a girl really likes a guy, they will want to have him all to herself. So I have a very hard time believing a young gal at 19, in the college age and all that, he's the only one. I just don't buy it. And obviously, he ain't the only one. Like 3 months ago, she messaged me saying that her period was late. I told her okay and asked if she wanted me to drop off a pregnancy test. She told me yes, so after I got off work, I stopped by the drugstore and got the 2 tests because the woman told me one can fail. I went to her apartment and waited until she took the test. She was nervous, and while we were waiting, so I tried to calm her down, which I guess worked because she was a bit more relaxed afterwards. Both tests came out positive. She broke down, and honestly, I was scared too, but I let her calm down. Good idea. Try to be calm for her. I stayed with her overnight, and we spoke about what to do next, and the obvious thing was going to the doctor. She went to the doctor like 2 days later. Later, she messaged me that she was 3 weeks pregnant. I told her okay and asked what she wanted to do, like if she had thought about having a procedure or she wanted to keep the baby, and she said that she needed to think about it. I told her cool, and to keep me informed and to text me if she needed anything. So at this point, he still doesn't know if this is his kid or not. So he's, the guy's a human being. He's treating her like a human being, and they've been seeing each other. She's been seeing more down south than actually his face. And, okay. About 5 days later, she texted me and told me she wanted to keep the baby. I told her okay, and I asked her to come to my apartment later on so we could talk. It was very awkward, especially since she kept trying to sleep with me because she was too horny. I told her that I will step up. I will take care of the baby and her if the baby is mine. Okay, I got no problem with that. If indeed it's true, he got her pregnant, and obviously he's responsible for the kid and all that, fair enough. However, you need proof first. She assured me like 100 times that it was mine because she has not been sleeping with anyone else as she was busy with college and only time for me. Yeah, that's the thing. Friends with benefits. Met him at the club. All that. And wasn't trying to get in a relationship. I have a hard time believing he's the only one. Still, I told her that I wanted a paternity test, just to be sure. Good, bro. She told me once again that she was sure it was mine and tried to talk me out of doing the test. Well, wait a second. What if you're so sure it's mine, then what's the problem with doing the test? I've heard this song and dance before, guys. However, she finally accepted to do a test when it was safe. Through this time, I've been very active with the pregnancy. I went to the checkups with her and have been staying with her sometimes as she was struggling with morning sickness and such. Also, I brought stuff for the baby like clothes, some diapers, and the crib. We explained to the doctor that we weren't sure if I was the father and asked when it was safe to do a paternity test, and she said around 8 weeks. So, on the one hand, the guy's trying to help. He doesn't know. She's convinced it's just his because she's not with anybody else. And again, we've heard that before. He's trying to be a human to her. She's 19, she's young, fair enough, but it takes two to tango. The problem is all these gestures he's doing to help her. The sad thing is kindness can be mistaken for weakness, or we're going to see no good deed goes unpunished. We put it off, honestly, and she was feeling too sick, morning sickness, and I was also busy with work, so we couldn't do it at 8 weeks. During this time, I took care of her still, and we went to the 4-month checkup too. Oh my God. So at 8 weeks, according to the doctor, he could take the test and find out. This guy waited 4 months. Oh, hell no. 8 weeks and 1 day. We'd be right there in the doctor's. I don't care. She's throwing up all over the goddamn place. Oh no, we're doing the test. She was feeling better once the first trimester passed, and we did the test at 17 weeks. The results came out that I am not the father. So he spent the last 4 months thinking that he could be the dad and spending money on the crib and clothes and diapers, even though he's not going to need that anytime soon. They're her and all that. Now, she's gotten used to this. She's gotten used to having him around and resources. No, this guy's going to provide. And remember, she said she was adamant that, oh no, I've only been with you, and you have to be the father. Well, the test says right here, he's not the father. She told me it must be wrong because she hasn't slept with anyone else for the last 2 months before her missed period. Last 2 months. So before that, you mean you were hooking up with other dudes? Uh-huh. However, we have been explained that this is very accurate. So I drove her to her apartment and told her that was that because it ended up not being my baby. She cried and tried to guilt trip me again, telling me she knows it's my baby. The test says right here, it's not my kid. Now, I've been unbelievably kind and supportive of you. Now, you can show that in kind to me by understanding this isn't my kid. The test is right here. Leave me the hell alone. Ah! I told her I'd promised to take care of it if the baby was mine. But it isn't. Ever since this happened, she's been texting me and calling me to tell me about the next checkup, whatever related to the pregnancy. I told her I kept my promise and to leave me alone. I don't want to see her again. Just please leave me alone. Unfortunately, she has this guy's number. She knows he obviously is a guy that is caring and obviously will help provide and all that. And she's gotten used to him. And obviously, this is somebody else's kid. And she's not bothering that guy because she knows that guy obviously is not someone that's like this. Then about 2 days ago after this, she showed up at my apartment. She asked if we can talk inside my apartment. I told her she need to tell me something and she could just tell me right there. So setting the stage for her to make a big scene for all your neighbors to hear. But she started crying and said that we need to talk in private and such. Finally, I gave in. Smack. She knows how to wear you down. Because she was making a big fuss in the street and she looked terrible, like she was going to faint or something. I calmed her down and she confessed to me that she had developed feelings for me these last couple months because I was so attentive towards her and the baby. You mean she didn't have any feelings for you when she was hooking up with you all that time prior to getting pregnant? But now, because you're being sweet and kind to her, and he was being, because he didn't know at the time it was this kid or not, he was definitely helping her more than a lot of guys would. Now she has feelings. She yet again insisted that I'm the father and that the people who made the test might have made a mistake. She asked me to wait until the baby is born so we can take another test. That's a long time away, and what's going to happen? She puts his name on the birth certificate? I think another test like right now. I told her no because it's expensive and we were told this test is very accurate. She told me she's sure she doesn't want me to miss on the baby's life, and she told me to wait until the baby is here and we can go to a different clinic for the paternity test because when the baby's born, I'll get to see that they're mine, like she thinks that the baby looked like me. Once again, I told her no. Well, he has a habit of telling her no and then backing down. She started crying uncontrollably, and she was feeling sick, so I let her stay with me. Smack! She is doing this. Obviously she's pregnant, and she's obviously emotional, and she's young, and she's got morning sickness and all that shit. That would be difficult for anybody, but she's made her decision. This is the guy who's raising the kid, and she's not backing down. And by him letting her in and letting her sleep over, that's only making the situation worse. She tried to get me to sleep with her in the same bed, but not to have sex. But I let her sleep in my bed, and I had to sleep on the couch. She needs to go to her family. That's what she needs to do. You're not the parent. The tests prove it. The next day, I dropped her off at her apartment, and she told me to think about the second maternity test, and she tried to kiss me before getting out of my car. Then nothing for like 3 days until she texted me again, asking me to go with her to the checkup she was next week. I told her no and to stop insisting. She started blowing up my phone with messages and I ended up blocking her. Well, again, I believe if he keeps providing and going to checkups and things with the kids and clothes, some courts might say, hey, you were doing all this, and you get the point. The next day, she showed up to my job. She was crying a lot and telling me off for blocking her. My manager came up and asked what was going on because obviously he was outraged to see a pregnant girl arguing with his employee. First it was his apartment, now she's going where he works. This could get him fired. Then he doesn't have any money coming in. No good deed goes unpunished. She told him I was refusing to be a father for our baby, that I was abandoning them. I'd explain all this to my boss later. Restraining order. I tried helping you. I tried going above and beyond when I shouldn't have to. And now you're doing this, showing up at work and potentially get me fired. We're done. I don't know what to do, honestly. Smack. Come on, dude. My family is basically telling me to do things her way and wait until the baby's born to know if it's mine or not. You're a grown-ass man, 25 years old. You can make your own decisions. And of course, they're falling for this shit. Although they were excited to have another grandbaby, nephew, or niece from the start, since I'm the youngest and only one of my siblings without kids. My friends are encouraging me to file a police restraining order. There you go, listen to your friends. But I don't want to do that. Like, I know she's in a very shitty position. I was the only one of her possible baby daddies who stepped up when she got pregnant. She's probably feeling miserable with pregnancy symptoms. She's young and scared. Well, she ruined any sympathy for me when she showed up at his freaking work, making a big scene and making him look bad, and gotten him fired. And again, obviously this is somebody else's kids, and she's not going to those guys for very obvious reasons. So she's a liar, she's a deceiver, she's a manipulator. End of story. I don't want to add to that. I don't know what I should do, honestly. Another friend of mine, a female friend, told me I led her on by being attentive and taking care of her, letting her stay with me even after the test results and such, and that is why she developed feelings for me, which I guess makes sense. So no good deed goes unpunished, right there. He did all those things for her, even though knowing it wasn't his kid, and therefore she's developed feelings, and it's his fault. I don't want her to be sad and stressed, since it will also impact the baby's health, and I don't wish that either of them have a hard time because of me. I get that, but if this is not your kid, it's not your responsibility. I want to help if I can, but also feel wrong because even though I've asked her many times to be honest and tell me who else could be the baby's father so I could help contact him, she had told me each time that she had only slept with me and the baby's mine, despite the paternity test results. I don't know. I'm just confused and tired and don't know what to do. You need to take care of you, because you can get yourself in a situation where the court may just say you're supposed to do it. You just never know. But it'd be one thing if the test said it was his kid, then okay, yeah, he obviously has both legally and the right thing to do because it's his baby. Certainly doesn't have to marry or anything. But welcome to what happens when you have many, many partners at the same time, and things happen. But also this girl made up her mind. I want him to raise the baby. Oh, it's you and only you. Now some little updates here. He says here, as an edit, I'll take another test. I'll contact a lawyer. I had the second test in a different clinic since the first one was sketchy. I also need to think about my own feelings here. Right now, talking with some people here made me realize that maybe I do have feelings for her. Maybe I've fallen for her. Smack. Don't start getting weak, dude. I miss her. Smack. She's a piece of ass. She's one chick. She's lying. You're getting feelings for her and you're missing her? Come on, man. If it's just a girl in particular, they got plenty of other ones out there. But the fact is, obviously, she was having relations with other dudes. Obviously, she's someone that's more than happy to have friends or benefits type of girl. She wasn't interested in a relationship before she got pregnant. I might want to be with her even if we just don't do anything. I think about her, and honestly, and as cheesy as possible, I get butterflies. Dude, you're making me want to throw up. I also don't think I mind stepping up for the baby. Smack. You nice guy. This is why she was not backing down, because she knows that he's a nice guy. I was happy for the baby, and I don't think I care if it's mine or not. Clearly, the other possible father doesn't care, but I do. I care for both of them and want them in my life. I still need to think about this, but I'm leaning towards this now. Dude, if you freaking, with proof that it's not your kid, decided to get in a relationship with her and raise this kid and think that you're going to make a relationship out of her, you can't turn an HOE into a housewife, you're out of your mind, because she wins. All her pestering and bombarding you with showing up at your apartment and your work, she wins. And she gets you being a sucker, paying for her, paying for the baby. Meanwhile, guess what? The real baby daddy, he's not doing anything, and she'd be back to hooking up with him while you're at home watching the baby. He needs a good smack upside the head from his dad. He said, a person says it's possible that she's not lying too. As I say, that's possible that she has more weeks than we thought. I'll suggest to talk with us about the doctor. And he says, end of edit, I wanted to put it there since it'll be easier for people to see it. He also says here, we spoke. The talk went great. She apologized for showing up at my job and apartment, and I apologized for refusing the test and acting like a dick. I told her I will do the second test. We hugged. She wanted to kiss me, but I said it's better to give it time. It was hard to be close to her again, not do much, honestly, anything. I had missed her touch too much. Oh my God. So, this guy may do what a lot of guys do because they feel bad and they want to be a decent human being, and they get roped in and raising somebody else's kid. This is ridiculous. If he wants to do a second test, fine, do a second test. And if that second test says it's not his kid, then he needs to get as far away as possible and stop this feeling bad crap. Because if he puts the name on the fucking birth certificate, that is it. He's then dealing with that kid for 18 years. And if you think this girl's going to become relationship material, you're out of your damn mind. And obviously there's another dude. And I think that if he does a second test, it's going to show that it's obviously somebody else's child. But after enough waterworks and carryings on all that, it may affect him. So guys, let this be a lesson. Like I said before, wear protection, dispose of the protection. Don't buy them on the pill crap. And if some girl says, I'm pregnant, it must be yours, paternity test. And that paternity test says it's not your kid, and she still says it's yours, again, either bye-bye, restraining order and all that, or at the least get a second one. And you get the point. But don't be that guy raising somebody else's kid just because some girl decides it should be you. Because if the test says it's not you, it's not you. Now, real quick, I'm going to read a couple comments here. One guy says here, DNA comparison testing is 99.9% accurate if that's what they did. Perhaps make a phone call to the doctor who did the test to verify what the test was performed. Honestly, I tell her she needs to stop showing up at your apartment as you won't be opening the door. And she needs to stop calling and messaging you about this topic or you'll block her. Or if you want to remain friends, just block her. You seem pretty level-headed about all this, and I can appreciate she's struggling, but it makes no sense to keep opening the door to her thinking that there's any hope here. Another guy says here, if she refuses to believe the paternity test results and is causing issues at your work, you have to get a restraining order against her. Regardless of her situation, this isn't the way to behave. Another one says, I don't know where you live, but in the U.S., DNA tests are not that expensive once the baby is born. I'd consider getting a test when the baby is born on the off chance, and I mean the very off chance that the first test was wrong, but very unlikely. But you also need to be clear that while you'll do the test, if it's not cost prohibitive, you will not be there for her during the pregnancy or birth, and you do not wish her to hear from her until it's time for the DNA test. Because at this point, the assumption is that you are not the father. Hold firm in these boundaries and do not allow yourself to be manipulated. Make it clear you will contact the police if she doesn't respect your request, and not to contact you and not show up places to talk to you. Well, clearly this guy has demonstrated to her that if she bugs him enough, he'll give in. That he'll feel bad for her and all that, and she's trying all those different tactics to get him to cave. And sadly, he does. And even you heard in the story, one of his female friends said, well, by letting her in and letting her sleep over and doing all this, that showed to her, so no good deed goes unpunished. So anyway, guys, let this be a lesson. Be careful. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. I want you to think about this. And guys, if you find a good story like me to share, definitely email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it, and I will. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.